We got the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. This is the game that a lot of us have been waiting all season for. Philadelphia right now, they got the best record in the NFC. They only got one loss. But for some reason, though, it seems like this Eagles team isn't as dominant this season as they were last year. Their defense isn't playing as good as what it was during 2022. Jalen Hurts has been a little bit turnover prone. The offense has been kind of inconsistent at times. And then you got the Dallas Cowboys, right? And the last time we saw Dallas in a big primetime matchup against a good team, they got ran out of the stadium by the San Francisco 49ers. They got their ass kicked 42-10. It was a no contest. And this is a big prove-it game for Mike McCarthy because he's viewed as one of those head coaches that can't get you over the top. He's not going to be able to win you a lot of big games. And the same narrative that people have about Mike McCarthy, ironically, they have about Dak Prescott. He's good enough to get you to the postseason. He's good enough to get you wins against average, below average teams. But in big games, he doesn't play his best football. Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott, with the win over the Philadelphia Eagles, have a chance to shift the narrative about them. This is an Eagles team that their best win up to this point this season, in my opinion, was against the Miami Dolphins when they beat them 31-17. The Cowboys have just as talented as a roster as the Philadelphia Eagles do. So for Dallas, them losing this game kind of is unacceptable. If you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, you expect to win this game. You expect to compete. You don't expect to get blown out like how you did against the 49ers. And I still feel like the Dallas Cowboys are a legitimate Super Bowl contender. A good amount of people don't feel the same way. So this is a big game for the Dallas Cowboys in determining if they are the team that many people thought they would be prior to this season. If you can't beat Philadelphia, then how can I have faith that you're going to be able to make a deep playoff run? Now, for Jalen Hurts, his inability to take better care of the football, I definitely think is something that you got to look out for against a really great defense that's outstanding at forcing takeaways. And I'm really excited to see the matchup between A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith against Deron Bland and Stephon Gilmore. Like, Deron Bland has been the breakout player of the year on defense for the Dallas Cowboys. Trayvon Diggs goes down and Deron Bland comes up, and he's just as good as what Trayvon Diggs has been. Meanwhile, you got A.J. Brown, who is making a legitimate case to be in the MVP conversation. I mean, this dude has had 100 yards plus receiving in nearly every game other than the first 2 weeks of this season. And I'm really interested in seeing how he's going to fare against a really stout cornerback position. Now, you look at the last time the Dallas Cowboys faced off against a team as good as the Philadelphia Eagles, you got blown out by the 49ers. What went wrong in that game? Well, Dak Prescott wasn't great. I don't think that the play calling was all that good, and nothing seemed to work. And against the Philadelphia Eagles, you know, this defense, with the fact that it's been really inconsistent at times, Sam Howell had a really big performance against this Eagles defense. I think if you're Dak Prescott, you got the opportunity to have a really big game. And if you can't have a big ball game and you get outplayed by Jalen Hurts, I definitely think that the narrative that Dak Prescott isn't the guy that can get you over the top is going to be proven more true. And I know Dallas Cowboy fans get heavily defensive over Dak Prescott. A good amount of the fan base feels like Dak Prescott can win them a Super Bowl, but there's a other amount of the fan base that feels Dak Prescott's holding this team back. Imagine if Dak Prescott has one of those games where he's just turning the football over, not making good decisions, forcing an issue, and he gets outplayed by Jalen. You see, the difference between Jalen Hurts and Dak Prescott is that Jalen Hurts can make mistakes and overcome them just because he's just so talented. Meanwhile, Dak Prescott, he makes mistakes and they prove to be costly. He's not able to overcome them. For the people that think that Dak Prescott is an elite quarterback, we're going to just see how true that is depending on how he plays against Jalen Hurts and this Eagles defense. They got a really good offensive line, but for some reason, anytime they get in the red zone, they struggle. The good thing about the Cowboys' red zone struggles is that you're going up against a defense that also has had their fair share of struggles inside the red zone as well. The run game has been decent at times, even though it can be better. You really need to find a way to play a complementary style of football. You can't find yourself in a situation where you got to ask Dak Prescott to win you this game, because I don't really think that Dak Prescott's capable of being able to carry the Dallas Cowboys to the win over the Philadelphia Eagles, even though he should be able to. Because if Sam Howell can light up the Philadelphia Eagles secondary, why can't Dak Prescott? The Dallas Cowboys, they got a lot to prove in this game. And we're about to find out just what this Dallas Cowboys team is underneath on the interior. Because on the exterior, you look at Dallas from a talent standpoint, you say this is one of the most talented teams in the National Football League. Same thing with the Philadelphia Eagles. But the Philadelphia Eagles, they only got one loss. And yet people make it seem like they aren't playing their best football. Where truthfully, the Philadelphia Eagles, this team just isn't the same team that they had last year. And there's nothing wrong with that. But for the Dallas Cowboys, there seems to be a consistent theme with this team being unable to win big games when they matter. If Dallas wants to remain in contention for that first seed in the NFC, this is a must-win game, and also for a chance to win this division. Because I think there's a great chance that Philadelphia wins this thing back-to-back years consecutively. Because the Dallas Cowboys are just one of those teams that they don't play their best football in big games. And that's why I got to go with the Philadelphia Eagles to win this game. I don't think the Cowboys are going to change the narrative about them. They got a great defense. Their defense definitely should be able to keep them in this game, but I don't really trust Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy's play calling, I don't really think it's been any better than the play calling that they've gotten out of Kellen Moore, and this offense has kind of looked worse. Yes, they are still having the same amount of points scored and total yardage put up that they were under Kellen Moore, but they've been worse in the red zone. And Dak Prescott, against the 49ers, he looked awful. Is he going to look better against the Philadelphia Eagles? I don't know. I don't have a lot of confidence that he's going to look all that great. And I definitely believe that Jalen Hurts is going to prove why he's the far more better quarterback than Dak Prescott. Cowboy fans were quick to point out when Jalen Hurts had a couple of bad games. But what they don't fail to realize is that, Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts can overcome turnovers. Dak Prescott, he has a couple of turnovers and they lose. I like Dallas to beat Philly. But at the same time, I get why people have a lot of confidence that the Cowboys can pull off a win, because they just are so talented. They got so many great players on the defense side of the football, and people believe that Philly is kind of a little bit fraudulent. But I don't view the Eagles as a fraud. I just view them as a team that's, different this season from what they were last year, and there's nothing wrong with that. And they got one of the most talented rosters in the league and one of the best QBs in the game right now. And with that, they're going to be able to overcome maybe not being able to play their best football. Dallas, on the other hand, if they don't play their best football and Dak Prescott can't take care of the pigskin, I don't think that they're going to be able to win this game. I think that the Dallas Cowboys need to win the turnover battle. They also have to be able to run the football effectively, and they got to play complementary football. And I don't think they're going to be able to get great play calling out of Mike McCarthy. And I think in big spots in this game, we're going to see why Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy have the narratives that people throw out about them and why they mostly are proven true more times than not. This is a big prove-it game for the Dallas Cowboys. If Cowboy fans want to be taken seriously as contenders, they need to win this game. This fan base, before this season, they felt like this was their best shot at being able to win a Super Bowl. Well, so far they haven't proven that. Smacked in Sunday night against the 49ers, and if they lose this game against Philadelphia, I think they're going to further prove more why this team just isn't able to get the big trophy, or why they're not able to get over the top. This is the game where Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy have to prove themselves, because if not, I think it's going to be a foreshadowing of what's going to happen in the postseason. This is pretty much a playoff game. It's going to have a playoff atmosphere. You got a lot at stake. You're trying to stay in the race to have the number one seed, and you also are trying to stay in competition to win this division. And if Philadelphia wins this game, then they're going to have a multiple game lead on you. And they most likely would win this division. So with a loss here, I think that the NFC East will pretty much be all but decided. The Giants are terrible. The Commanders aren't great. If Dallas loses this game, I think that it's pretty safe to say that they aren't contenders for the Super Bowl, because you got to be able to win big games during the regular season, and they will be 0-2 against teams with winning records this year. Like, it's cool to blow out the New York Giants. That's cool. All right, you should be blowing out the New York Giants. You should be the team like the Los Angeles Chargers. But what can you do against the other top competition in your conference? You know, like, you have just as good as a roster as the Philadelphia Eagles. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to win this game, and there's no reason why this should be a one-sided affair. But I just trust Philadelphia more. I have more reasons to trust Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, because this season they've proven to be able to beat good teams. They beat the Miami Dolphins by multiple possessions. But I look at Dallas, and I look at the fact that you struggled against Arizona, and yeah, you look good against sorry teams, but against best competition that you play, you don't really look so hot. And that just seems to be the overarching theme when it comes to watching the Dallas Cowboys play. Give me the Philadelphia Eagles. 31-20 is my final score prediction for this game.